Mike Cardano here with Roto Experts in the Fantasy Sports Network on this Good Friday, April 18th. And I'm back with selections for you in daily fantasy to help put the odds of winning matchups today in your favor. Hey, for you history buffs, today in 1775, that Paul Revere guy took that famous ride on that pony of his. Not sure if he's related to Ben Revere or if he can run, but we'll have to check that out. Now, we are nothing without performance here, so let's look at yesterday's results. We talked about the fact that we loved Adam Wainwright last night, and he was the highest pitcher on the board. And if you paid up for him, you were rewarded with a complete game shutout where he pitched to a whip of .6 with 8 strikeouts. Now, if you didn't win your matchup with him in your lineup, you either faced somebody who also had him, or you really messed up the rest of your roster. And we also talked about spending less money and using David Price. That didn't work out so well. Just 5 innings, giving up 10 hits with a walk and 6 earned runs. Now, on the surface, that doesn't look too good. All right, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That doesn't look good any way you look at it. He was pounded into submission. But daily fantasy is quite different than your yearly leagues, and the 6 strikeouts he logged came in extremely handy. Now, here's my FanDuel roster from last night. And you'll notice that even though it's a one-pitcher format, the 6 strikeouts were enough for 5 points, which contributed to cashing in on $200. Now, sometimes you have to just take what you can get, but if you've put your roster together right, an awful performance by one guy doesn't have to mean losing your matchup. So let's move on to today and see how this works out. Rostered Houston Astros batters that have faced Sonny Gray in their career are 10 for 71 against him, batting just 141 with 2 doubles as the only extra base hits. And while they have just 10 hits, they struck out 11 times. Now, Gray will save you about $1,100 over the highest priced pitcher on DraftKings and about $1,600 off the top guy on FanDuel. Sonny Gray, ladies and gentlemen, Sonny Gray. Atlanta Braves starter Aaron Harang, who wouldn't even be on their roster if their pitching staff wasn't decimated, has been pitching out of his mind to start the season. After 3 starts, he's 2-1 with a .96 ERA. He's got 17 strikeouts and a whip of just .8. Now, his only loss was against the Mets, who he pitches against today, and he didn't help himself with 4 walks, but he only gave up 2 hits over 6 innings, striking out 9. He's $9,900 and the 7th highest priced pitcher on DraftKings today, but over on FanDuel, they're giving him away at a measly $5,800. Now, I don't know how long the flame will last with Harang, but he's been throwing harder than he ever has, and he's getting results. You have to play these guys when they're feeling it and mispriced, and he is over at FanDuel today. All right, now that we've got 2 pitchers and saved some money with Gray and Harang, we don't want to leave it on the table, right? It's not like you get to keep it or anything. So we're going to plunk it down on Giancarlo Stanton. Now, the slugger doesn't have much of a history against Mariners starter Chris Young, mostly because whenever their teams played, Young was on the DL. And if not, Stanton was on the DL. But in the 5 at-bats he does have, Stanton has 3 hits, taking Young deep twice, resulting in 8 RBI. Now, he's hitting .355 with 3 long flies over the past week, and I love getting these power guys in there when they're in a groove. Stanton is the 2nd highest priced player on FanDuel today, but there are 5 guys commanding higher prices on DraftKings, and that's where I'll play him. Hey, if you're trying to get your roster squared away on FanDuel today and you're having problems with your budget, try Melky Cabrera on for size. He's 12 for 24 against today's opposing starter, Justin Masterson. That's $500 to you and me over a pretty decent sample size. And for just $3,500, he'll fit in quite nicely. It doesn't appear that there's going to be any major weather concerns today. A little chilly in a few places, but it's April. It's going to happen. For more ballpark weather and info on Daily Fantasy Baseball, we've got the first word in Daily Fantasy with coverage from Dr. Roto and Tony Sincata, along with Daily Fantasy industry heavyweights Drew Dinkmeyer and Mike Leone, and some of the most well-known Daily Fantasy players in the space. That's weekdays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, so tune in for that. And if it's fantasy you want while you're getting ready for work or during your commute, tune in to the Roto Experts in the Morning Show with Scott Engel and Adam Ronis from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time weekdays right here on the Fantasy Sports Network or on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, Sirius 210 XM 87. And for those of you on the West Coast, we replay the show here on the network during your 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. time slot. And the first ever Fantasy Sports Network is here. You are watching it, and you can now take it wherever you go. The new Fantasy Sports Network mobile app is your season ticket to the latest fantasy news, information, and analysis. Get access to the live stream of television programming along with a suite of in-depth articles, on-demand videos, and podcasts. Fantasy Sports now goes wherever you go. The Fantasy Sports Network mobile app, available now on iTunes. I'll be at the Billy Joel concert tonight at Madison Square Garden, but you'll be sure I'll be checking my daily fantasy results from there. Good luck to you in your daily games, unless, of course, you find yourself matched up head-to-head or in a tournament against me. And in that case, I hope you have BJ Upton in your lineup tonight, who struck out 5 times and 7 times up against Met starter Jonathan Neese. And again, numbers like that against most guys. Hey, don't be offended by my ill wishes. This is not personal, it is just fantasy.